News View, here for you. Hello and welcome again. Our top story is, and the top story is from the BBC, British Petroleum, BP Oil, has announced that this spill, well, they're drilling to cause a secondary leak and to stop the Gulf of Mexico oil leak is ahead of schedule slightly, or slightly ahead of schedule. They say that finishing by July 27th is possible, and the Wall Street Journal was told that the hurricane season threatened a perfect case and that this was unlikely. And the weather could be a problem in the Gulf of Mexico as time goes on. And that's that story. And the next story here is Subway terror plot had a global reach. On Wednesday, the United Kingdom's police again arrested the Norwegian Nasir, who is 24 years old and from Pakistan. And, well, they arrested him. And the officials told the Associated Press that the peroxide bombs are portable and what they were trying to make, but it wasn't clear whether they had targets for these attacks. And that is from the Wall Street Journal. And in Georgia, not the state, in Sachir, Georgia, Dateline now, authorities there claim that a woman from a mountain village there turned 130 years old Thursday. This would make her the oldest person on Earth. The Genetology Research Group currently recognizes 114-year-old Eugene Blacknard of St. Barthélemy, France, as the world's oldest person. But this woman in Georgia lives with her 40-year-old grandson and has a son who is now 70 years old. And he was apparently born when his mother was 60. Says here she had children, 2 children who died during World War II of hunger from a previous marriage. So she's been married more than once. She's the claims are that she is 130 years old. And in Wall Street and the economic news, now is not a good time to be an investor. But somebody's got to do it, I guess. But the problem is debt. That is one of the main problems, and too many economies in the developed countries are in debt at this time. The US dollar and treasury bonds and gold have moved higher, but stocks have been pretty much dead money at this time. So the recovery was probably only a short one, and at this time it looks bad for our economy in the near future. We will see about that and keep watching that for you. I will here at NewsView. And I think now we'll go to the first break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to NewsView on a Friday night in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. And the next story, Dateline Urbana, Illinois. The Champaign County officials have canceled grand juries in order to save money due to budget constraints. The county's final grand jury session is on July 22nd, and the county has had grand juries in order to decide whether or not prosecutors have evidence enough to take felony charges in cases to trial. These grand juries were started in Champaign County during the 1980s. The grand jurors serve 4 months at a time and usually hear between 5 and 16 cases a day, and they're paid $10 a day plus mileage. But no more, as Champaign County has canceled grand juries after July 22nd, 2010. And the next story, a discovery, according to a New Zealand researcher, is that fish can apparently talk to each other. Fish communicate with each other with noises, including grunts, chirps, and pops, says the University of Auckland marine scientist Sheriman Ghazali, not sure how you pronounce that. And this is from Breitbart.com. It says all fish can hear, but they cannot all make sound. The fish in general are believed to communicate with each other for different reasons. And he says that they use sound as a synchronization to their when they lay eggs. Now, it also says some reef fish make sounds in an attempt to scare off threatening fish and even divers. And if you want more about that, you can look that up over at brettbart.com. And that's from AFP. I suppose you could look it up on AFP's website. And the next story here is that schools in Illinois are going to have to lose money due to the new budget in the state of Illinois. Education will lose $241 million, but the Illinois Association of School Boards lobbyist Ben Schwarm says schools are relieved general state aid will remain flat. So the budget cuts are nearly $263 million from grants from the state, and among other things, programs for people with mental illness or developmental disabilities. And that's that story, and one more. And the U.S. Department of Energy has announced that they have 10 projects aimed at developing advanced technologies for capturing carbon dioxide from coal combustion. These include sucking membranes, using solvents, and other things that will get rid of the carbon dioxide in coal combustion. And if you want to read more about that, you can go to the Intelligent Energy Portal online. Just search for that. The headline is Department of Energy announces $67 million investment for carbon capture development. And if you have any story ideas or news, you can send it in to me at mbadger@newsview.info. And if you have any further comments, questions, complaints, you can also call the station here, UPTV, and the number's on the screen. And I think that about does it for news. We should have some weather, maybe more news after this. Hello again, and welcome to your weekend weather forecast. I'm Michael Badger. Friday night, a low temperature of 63 degrees Fahrenheit is expected with possible thunderstorms. Saturday, a high temperature of 84 degrees Fahrenheit with fog. And Saturday night, low temperature of 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And Sunday, a high temperature of 86 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, with a probability of precipitation at 20%. Sunday night, the low will probably be 64 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm Michael Badger, and this has been your July 9th weekend forecast.